Welcome to my Aptera journey. My name is Rich Rodriguez. This video will cover 1. The progression of Aptera Motors stock. 2. The future of Aptera Motors stock. 3. Some illustrative IPOs. And 4. Late breaking news. Aptera Motors secures $75 million. And 5. My expectations for Aptera Motors stock. Aptera just announced their public stock listing with trading start on October 16th. Wow, we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right into this.
Ode to Aptera, the most efficient vehicle on the planet. I love Aptera, it feels so right. Glides down the highway, taking off from the sun. No more drilling.
Hello, my name is Rich Rodriguez, and welcome to my Aptera journey. This channel is about the thrill on a twisting, curving mountain road and the rush of adrenaline with 0 to 60 acceleration time in under 6 seconds. And the pleasure of charging your car from the sun, and on some models, the confidence of up to 1,000 miles of range. But we don't have an Aptera yet, and some specifications have changed to get Aptera to market quicker. Despite that, there are some things I would like to share with you today. First, though, a little about me. I'm a trained electrical engineer, so I understand how EVs work. I'm an EV owner with over 180,000 miles of experience, so I get range and charging. I have an MBA in finance, and I have been mentored by an investment banker. And in my day job, I read and analyze financial statements every day. Part 1. The progression of Aptera Motors stock. Today we're going to look at some of the history of Aptera Motors stock from their initial crowdfunding to the NASDAQ, a major stock exchange. Platforms. Aptera Motor has progressed from their earliest crowdfunding round on WeFunder in 2019 to the NASDAQ public listing this month in 2025. Investing in Aptera Motors has been a real journey. I feel confident that I'm funding something very different, very innovative, and very game-changing. The world's most efficient vehicle. Aptera Motors' earliest crowdfunding rounds were done directly on the WeFunder platform. My first investment in Aptera Motors was in 2019 at only 22 cents a share. As I recall, at the time, the company had about an $18 million valuation. Wow, that was some time ago. Then, later investment rounds moved from the WeFunder website to the Aptera Motors website. As I recall, at this time, Aptera Motors used the issuance.com platform as the back end for managing share issuance. After some time, shares were moved and housed in the computershare.com platform as the trustee. Now, after successfully raising some $145 million, Aptera expects to be trading on the NASDAQ this week. Amazing. Finally, to cap this all off, Aptera Motors will ring the NASDAQ closing bell on October 16th, 2025, to celebrate its approval for listing on the NASDAQ capital market. The company's Class B common stock should begin trading on that same day under the ticker symbol SEV. Stock price. Because I've been an investor since 2019, I've kept records of my investments. The table shown is the stock prices of the early rounds I've participated in, adjusted for the 3-to-1 reverse split. My earliest investment has increased by some 6,600%, while my later investment increased only by 41%. Despite the increase in my financial position, what's important to me is that my invested funds have helped birth the Aptera car, the world's most efficient car. My investment in Aptera Motors will help unlock the delivery of 49,000 vehicle reservations Aptera has already earned, representing some $2 billion in backlog. That is bringing efficiency to the masses and free solar enhanced driving miles. Part 2. Future of Aptera Motors stock. Now let's look at the SEV stock being offered on the NASDAQ. What can we expect from this direct stock placement? Typical IPO pop. An initial public offering, IPO pop, occurs when a company goes public and when its stock price jumps higher on the first day of trading. No matter how much preparation they've done, company executives and shareholders never really know how a stock will perform once it hits the market through its public offering. While Aptera's NASDAQ listing is a direct listing and not an IPO, there's no reason to believe why shares can't skyrocket like many IPOs do. It's all about supply and demand. While some existing shareholders may wish to liquidate their positions, it is just as likely, or perhaps even more likely, that more buyers will appear who are interested in growing Aptera Motors' future. My guess is the shares will be bid up in price, that is, more people interested in growing Aptera Motors than in liquidating their position. This would drive the price up. Long-term buy and hold. Some folks like to buy and sell stock, i.e. trade stocks, while others like to invest in a company and let the company grow with the intent to take their profits later as the company grows. Indeed, I have a friend of mine who is a trader. He gets up early and often trades in New York time. To me, that sounds like a lot of work. I was, early in my life, an active trader. This was around the time of the Great Recession and again during the Iraq War. In both cases, I was opportunistic, either betting on the S&P market via short positions through a levered ultra-inverse -3 ETF, or betting long on oil via a levered ultra-long 3X ETF. In the case of Aptera Motors, my intention is to be a long-term investor. My goal is to see the company prosper. In fact, I may start to invest monthly with an eye towards long-term returns. Everyone has their own intention with investing, and you have to decide what is best for you. Consider long-term trends in climate investing. Long-term climate investing involves allocating capital to companies and projects that help mitigate climate change and adapt to its effects. All with the aim of supporting the transition to a low-carbon economy and protecting long-term portfolio value. Strategies include investing in renewable energy, electric vehicles, and sustainable technologies, or using a system-level approach to shift finance away from fossil fuels towards sustainable alternatives. Hear me clearly. I believe the energy transition is the largest economic opportunity in 100 years. Aptera Motors, with their hyper-efficient car, fits squarely in the climate investing space. Aptera Motor also fits in the high-tech space, the transportation space, and the growth company space, to name a few. Future of Aptera stock. As an emerging growth company, Aptera Motors offers tremendous growth potential. That said, the company is now in the process of preparing for the production of their first serial production vehicles. So, given the stage of company development, how do we estimate a possible Aptera Motors stock price? Let's look at the price-to-sales ratio as one way to estimate the stock price. Let's walk through this. According to the Aptera Motors S1 filing, the registration is for 31,741,948 Class B common shares, with 8,883,842 shares outstanding at the time of registration with the SEC. So if we use estimated sales as the 49,000 reservations, and the company already had these reservations that the company already has, and an estimate of the selling price of $40,000, we come up with a potential around $1.96 billion in possible revenue. Now, if we divide this revenue by the current Class B shares outstanding of 8,083,842, we get an estimate of $220.60 per share. If instead we divide this by the total shares being registered of 31,741,948, we get $61.75 per share. So the stock price using this method could range from $61.75 to $220.60 per share. Some caveats. These assume all 49,000 reservations are converted into sales, and that won't happen. It also assumes all 49,000 reservations are converted into sales all in 1 year, which won't happen. 2, the above share price estimates assumes a sales to price multiplier of 1. The multiplier could be higher if Aptera Motors starts to look more and more like a high-growth industry. That is possible. These figures are only one estimate, but does offer a stock range of $61.75 to $220.60. The IPO market is hot. Sometimes the IPO market is hot and sometimes not. While Aptera Motors is executing a direct listing and not an IPO, the fact remains this will be the first time folks can buy stock directly from a regular stock exchange. If you want to learn more about Aptera's direct listing process, see my video linked here. Since this is the first time people can buy Aptera Motors stock directly from a stockbroker, it might feel like an IPO. So we should ask the question, what is the state of the IPO market right now? An IPO pop is an increase in a company's stock price on the first day of trading on the NASDAQ exchange after its initial public offering, its IPO. This pop is a significant event where the stock price rises due to high investor demand, which can be a positive side for the company and investors. The IPO market is hot right now. This can be evaluated by looking at historical IPO pop data. This figure shows that 2025 has seen some of the largest gains in IPO prices in the last 10 years. Based on this, I would expect the Aptera share listing to do very well in early trading. Nice. Part 3. Some illustrative IPOs. In this section, I'm going to share a few companies that listed their shares in the stock market that are of interest to me. These are all in the same climate investing areas mentioned earlier: renewable energy, electric vehicles, and sustainable technologies. Tesla. Tesla is an electric vehicle EV maker and had their IPO on June 29, 2010, as they were launching their Model S. After the IPO, the stock languished for some 10 years. After initial production problems with their lowest priced Model 3, sales of that model grew tremendously, and the Model 3 became the world's best-selling electric car from 2018 to 2021. Once the Model Y, a mid-sized crossover SUV, was launched in March 2019, and manufacturing was then at a global scale, the stock really took off like a rocket. First Solar. First Solar uses a rigid, thin film technology in their solar electric panels. This process, while lower in efficiency, also lowers the cost versus standard silicon crystalline technology. This lower cost gives them a distinct market advantage. First Solar went IPO at $20 a share in 2006 and quickly rose to over $250 a share. Then the stock price declined some as the company was investing capital for new production plants in the US, Malaysia, Vietnam, and India. The stock has recently been moving towards its all-time high as First Solar's global production rose to meet skyrocketing demand for their solar panels. Rivian. Rivian was founded in 2009 and produces an electric sport utility SUV, an electric pickup truck, and an electric delivery van. Rivian's IPO was on November 9th, 2021, with shares offered at $78 a share and quickly popped to over $120 a share. Remember we discussed the IPO pop phenomena? $70 a share to $100 a share is certainly a pop. Since then, as production of Rivian's SUVs and pickups have increased in volume, shares have drifted lower to only $13, much lower than the IPO price. I would expect shares to rise as the company moves towards profitability, not unlike Tesla. Ormat. Ormat is a company that primarily develops geothermal resources. They have geothermal projects in the US, in Canada, Indonesia, Kenya, Honduras, Guatemala, New Zealand, and the Philippines, and more. Ormat, ORA, had its initial public offering on November 11th, 2024, and started trading around $15 a share. Since around 2012, the stock has generally drifted upwards to its price now of about $107 a share. 2. Ormat has been providing stock dividends since 2005, boosting total returns. Part 4, late breaking news. Aptera Motors secures $75 million. Today, October 14th, 2025, as I record this video, Aptera Motors announced a $75 million equity funding commitment by New Circle Capital. Think of this as a line of credit, but instead of drawing down on a loan balance, you have to repay. You're selling shares in the company. At this stage in Aptera's development, Aptera Motors provided some concessions to New Circle Capital to make this funding possible. The concessions are primarily a discount to New Circle Capital for the shares that they purchase. Either 97% of the lowest daily volume weighted average of the company's common stock during a 3-day consecutive trading period, or 96% of the weighted average price of the company's common stock during a single day of trading. In addition to these concessions, Aptera Motors agreed to pay $375,000, the commitment fee, payable in common stock, the commitment shares. While the commitment shares may sound like a lot, it only represents 0.5% of the $75 million in funding. The equity funding commitment expires in 36 months. For Aptera Motors, I think this is a great opportunity. Well done. Part 5, my Aptera Motors stock expectations. In my day job, I look at financial projections over a 5-year forecast horizon. Even then, the results will always depend on people executing on their projections, which is compounded by unknowns that can pop up. Take, for example, the financial crisis of 2008-2009, or the COVID pandemic. These external yet impactful events to individuals and companies cannot be predicted. While it is always fraught to predict corporate performance into the future, I see Aptera Motors as game-changing. With its hyper-efficient transportation that also offers free solar-enhanced miles. In some situations, drivers might never need to plug in their vehicles. I envision demand for the Aptera from around the world. Led by dedicated, experienced engineers and successful entrepreneurs, Aptera Motors offers the potential for real-world success on a global scale. That sounds like an extraordinary growth opportunity to me. I'm on board for that journey. Well, that's all I have today, friends. My wish for you is to be well, do good work, and charge on.
Wingless fly. I love Aptera. It feels so right. The future is now. Protect Mother Earth. Keep her healthy for what it's worth. What's your pleasure, lunar or solar? Let's save the planet. We're on a roll. Glides down the highway, taking off from the sun. No more drilling, can't you see?